You've eaten them. You probably crushed an entire box without thinking twice. They're crunchy, salty, orange, and somehow feel just grown up enough to justify eating them straight from the pantry. But what if we told you that Cheez-Its aren't what you think? And no, this isn't just about cheese. Stick with us, because the truth behind this iconic snack is way stranger than it has any right to be. Welcome back to Kamikaze Food, where we take everyday foods and ask the uncomfortable questions nobody warned us about. And yes, if you enjoy discovering what's really inside the stuff you eat, subscribing might not be the worst idea you've had today. Now, let's talk about Cheez-Its. At first glance, Cheez-Its feel honest. The name literally says cheese. The box shows cheese. The smell screams cheese adjacent. And unlike some snacks that openly admit they're cheese flavored, Cheez-Its proudly claim to be made with real cheese. That alone has convinced generations of snackers that these little squares are basically crackers infused with dairy magic. Case closed, right? Not exactly. Let's start with how Cheez-Its were born. The snack dates back to the early 1920s, created by the Green and Green Company, which later became part of Kellogg's. Their original goal wasn't to make a neon orange snack icon. It was to use up leftover cheese from cheese production. At the time, wasting food was expensive, and processed foods were booming. So they blended cheese with flour, baked it, and created something shelf-stable, crunchy, and wildly addictive. That part sounds wholesome, resourceful even. But fast forward a century, and Cheez-Its have evolved far beyond their humble beginnings. Here's where things get interesting. Cheez-Its are baked, not fried, and that's something the brand loves to highlight. Baking them gives them that crisp snap and helps them feel more legit than some other snacks. But the baking process also fundamentally changes what the cheese becomes. When real cheese is exposed to high heat, its proteins and fats break down. What's left isn't the stretchy, melty cheese you put on a sandwich, it's something closer to a flavor base. And that's important, because Cheez-Its aren't cheese with crackers added. They're crackers with cheese worked into a dough that's been engineered for consistency, shelf life, and crunch. The cheese is real, yes, but it's not behaving like cheese anymore. Now, let's talk about color, because this might be the biggest illusion of all. Cheez-Its are famously orange. Not cheddar orange, not aged cheese orange, more like traffic cone that went to culinary school orange. That color doesn't come from cheese aging or natural variation, it comes from annatto, a natural coloring derived from seeds. Annatto has been used for centuries, but here's the trick. It makes products look cheesier than they actually are. Your brain sees orange and expects richness, sharpness, and dairy depth. Even before you taste a Cheez-It, you've already been primed to think cheese. That expectation does half the work. Flavor scientists know this. Snack companies rely on it. And speaking of flavor, let's talk about that unmistakable Cheez-It taste. It's not just salt and cheese. It's a carefully balanced combination of dairy solids, fermented notes, and something called cheese culture. That last part sounds innocent, but it's essentially a concentrated flavor compound derived from cheese fermentation. It boosts the cheesy perception without needing more actual cheese. So, while Cheez-Its are technically made with real cheese, the flavor you taste is amplified, reshaped, and standardized. No sharp cheddar variation, no funky surprises. Every bite tastes exactly like the last one. That's not an accident, that's food engineering. Here's another detail most people never consider: moisture. Real cheese contains water. Crackers do not. For Cheez-Its to stay crunchy for months, moisture has to be aggressively controlled. That means the cheese used must be processed and dried in ways that strip it of many characteristics we associate with fresh cheese. What remains is flavor, not form. Now, let's address the elephant in the snack aisle. Are Cheez-Its actually cheese crackers, or cheese-flavored crackers pretending to be something more honest? Legally, Cheez-Its walk a very careful line. They're allowed to say made with real cheese because they are. But they're not allowed to call themselves cheese. They're a baked snack cracker. That distinction matters. Cheese is regulated. Crackers are regulated differently. Once cheese becomes an ingredient instead of the product itself, the rules change. And this is where the illusion becomes complete. Cheez-Its aren't lying, but they're not telling the whole story either. Now, here's the part most people don't know, and the reason you probably keep reaching for another handful. Cheez-Its are designed to hit what food scientists call the bliss point. That perfect intersection of salt, fat, and crunch that keeps your brain asking for more. The sharpness you taste isn't sharp cheddar, it's flavor chemistry doing its job. The dryness that makes you want another bite, that salt keeps your taste buds engaged. And the crunch? That's pure satisfaction engineering. This is why you don't eat one Cheez-It, you eat 10, then 20. Then you look down and the box is empty and you're questioning your life choices. But here's the real twist, the thing that flips the whole snack upside down. Cheez-Its aren't trying to be cheese. They're trying to be the idea of cheese. They deliver the memory of cheese, the expectation of cheese, the comfort of something familiar and savory, without the unpredictability of actual dairy. No spoilage, no variation, no risk, just consistency. In other words, Cheez-Its are less a food and more a simulation. And once you realize that, everything about them makes sense. The color, the flavor, the texture, even the way they crumble just enough but not too much. They're engineered nostalgia. So, the next time you grab a box, ask yourself, do you want cheese or do you want the feeling of cheese? Because Cheez-Its don't choose for you. They already decided long ago. Now, we want to hear from you. Are Cheez-Its a snack masterpiece or a cheese illusion you'll never look at the same way again? Drop your thoughts in the comments, tell us which flavor you swear by, and let us know what food you want us to expose next.